Divine and royal greetings, veg campers. Today we are making our soup, our coconut curried split pea soup. So I'll be on camera just for a hot second. Of course, I am going to put more of the focus on what is happening on the cutting board. So to get started and you see what we have, hope that's okay. We have our split peas. Now these have been soaking just under 48 hours. So it's gonna take no time at all for these to cook up, as they may say, right? And then we have our celery, scallion, and some sweet potato. Now I put all of this in one bowl because this is kind of going to take the place of our broth, so to speak. So we're not purchasing any broth, we're gonna make it ourselves. And then we have our accoutrement, as you may call it, or as I may call it, which is some more scallions, some onions, red onion, if you will. There's some green pepper in here from the garden. There is some red pepper here, a little parsley from the garden. It wasn't as much growing, so I just took a few sprigs of it. But what we did have in abundance are these seeds. Now, these are the seeds of cilantro, or what some people may call coriander. So they are definitely sun-fired. So no need to waste them. I'm going to go ahead and use them as a part of the seasoning. Then we have our coconut milk, our curry cumin mix. Of course, I love keeping things as much as I can in mason jars. We have a little bit of oil, right? We're just going to use a little bit of that to coat the pan or the pot. And we will be using one of my favorite pots. Now, this pot is something that my grandmother purchased for me when I first, it's a little wet. Where I had it, I had to put the plastic underneath it. But I'm showing you this because this pot has really seen its days as it relates to soup preparation. That's what I primarily use the pot for. It is cast iron. It has held on to the seasonings and the flavor from other soups. So I'm super excited to make this in this particular pot. So what I'm going to do is set up the situation. I'm going to put my mini stove over here so that we can keep everything in one place. So just give me a moment, stepping off a frame to do the next setup. I'm gonna lay this cloth because I don't want to burn the cutting board. All right, so here we go. It's on there nice and snug. All right, so now we're just gonna plug it up. Perfect. Moving right along. I'm gonna turn on the eye. Now I'm gonna do this on a medium-low heat just to get things going. So while we wait for this to heat up, I'm just going to move some things around. Hopefully you have all of your ingredients. Now, I'm getting used to setting up in this way where you can only see the bottom half of me, but you don't need to see my face, you just need to see the food. So there we go. Turn it a little bit this way. All right. I'm gonna turn it up just a little bit just to dry out some of the water that is in here. Now, when you are making your soups, you really want to err on the side of not cooking your vegetables all the way down. You want to leave it nutrient dense, okay? So what we're going to experience is stepping out of frame for one moment. I don't know what I did there. speed up the process just a little bit. So again, when you're making soups, the idea is to leave it nutrient dense. And that just basically means that you're not going to cook your vegetables. Now, again, we will use some of the vegetables that were pre-prepped for our stock. Now, I will add the sweet potatoes because they take a little longer to cook down, right? So we'll mix it in, you'll see how that looks, and then we'll go ahead and mix in our split peas. Now, I'm not sure how this will come out in terms of the recording because I will pause the video, just to allow for condensed time, if you will. All right, so our pot is heating up. We're just gonna give it a few more moments. Okay, so you can take this time to just make sure that you have all of your ingredients together, right? You can go ahead and begin to pre-cut, pre-chop, hopefully this was enough, right? To show you what it is that you need to do. So we have, again, the green onion, we have some green pepper, we have the onion, the carrots, and the celery, right? So celery is really, really, really great to use when you're making a broth, right? Again, there's no need to purchase broth ever, ever, ever again, because we will get into the habit of making our own. Now, one of the things about the store-bought stock is that it usually is high in sodium. So we want to avoid all of that. And again, just make our own. So I feel the heat rising. We're just going to give it a few more moments. Okay. So again, you want to make sure that you have all of your ingredients, preferably, once you put everything out on your table or whatever surface you're working on, it's just easier to go ahead and grab and go. Now, remember, this can totally be obviously refrigerated, definitely frozen. So if you make it plentiful, no worries, no worries at all. So now that the pot is heating up, I'm going to go ahead and turn it down, right? Because we don't really want to cook the oil. We just want to put enough down here to coat the pan, right? And again, I'm using this mix of sunflower and coconut, which I love. I even use this for my body, y'all. I do love it. All right. So now our pot is being coated with oil, and we're just going to put pretty much everything that's in this bowl in at one time. Right, easy enough. Giving it a little stir. Smells delicious already, and we haven't even done anything. Now, you can cut your sweet potatoes a little smaller if you like. It's really going to blend in with the split peas. So, really up to you. Now what I would do is add a little bit of salt. And then I'm going to add my curry and cumin. You see that? Well, of course you do. All right, so we have our seasonings. You can add garlic to this if you like. Mince it up. Just gonna get some of the flavor all up in there. And then what I'm going to do is now add the split peas. Right, I'm going to add just a little bit more seasoning now on the peas. Right, and just stirring it in, stirring it around. And then what I'm going to do is add some water. Just enough to coat everything. You don't want to completely submerge it, right? Because we are still going to be adding our coconut milk. We don't want it to be too soupy, but we don't want it to be too thick either. But then again, it really just depends on what your preference is, right? So these are the beginning stages, right? So here go our broth right here. So again, we're going to reduce the heat. I have it to, again, a medium low. Now, I would say that the complete time for this should be 45 minutes to an hour. So now what I'm going to do is cover it. I'll come back in 20 minutes to check, and we will continue on, pausing for commercial break. Welcome back. All right, so it's been about 20 minutes. And our ingredients are coming together beautifully. They're singing, they're bonding, they're getting to know each other. Now, one of the things that I did not do on camera was add the coriander seeds, which I did obviously put in here. Now, if you have cilantro as the leaf, that's one of the last things that you're going to put in here. So in your pot to begin off should just be the sweet potatoes, the peas, the scallions, the celery, right? Which you can't even see those things anymore. So they definitely have, I don't want to say evaporated, but they have cooked into the soup. And that's about all that we want to cook into the soup. All right, so we still have probably another, I'll give it another 10 minutes, right? And you want to use a wooden spoon, stainless steel, you know, to cook up. All right, so here we go. Voila. We'll come back in a few moments to see how it's doing. I'm going to reduce the heat just a little, right? And then we'll come back. All right, all right, all right. So it's been about an additional 10 minutes, right? And look at our soup. Right. So we see that it is cooking down. It has a little texture to it. Now here's the fun part. So of course, all of the water that we have added, I haven't added any additional water since we began. Okay. I'm not sure if you can really see how the split peas are opening up or becoming loose, right? So now what we want to do is add our coconut milk. We're just going to put the whole thing in there. That's about 8 ounces. That is 8 ounces. Okay. And then what we're gonna do is add the rest of the accoutrement. So this is, again, some onion, some red pepper, some green pepper, a little bit of parsley, right? And then, see all that color? I'm going to add a little bit more curry. Curry is great for the colon. Add a little bit more salt. I'm going to turn off the flame, which is most important. You want to turn the flame off because you're no longer cooking, right? We're just going to steep the soup. So I'm going to let this sit for about another 10 minutes or so, right? But what I'm going to do, I'm going to cover and I'm just going to leave a little bit of the pot uncovered so that the air can hit it. It can thicken just a little, right? And you can adjust. You can use, that was a little less than 16 ounces of dried beans. Now, peas. I didn't use the whole pack because I know that I wouldn't need it. So you can adjust your coconut milk, again, depending on how thick or how loose you desire the soup to be. So again, we're just gonna leave it for another 10 minutes with the lid partially open to help the air hit it and for it to thicken. So we'll be back in another 10 minutes or so to see where we are. So pausing for another commercial break. All right, so we are back. It's been a little bit more than 10 minutes, right? So I've removed the portable stove and you see how it thickened. And it is so delicious. It's delicious. It actually is sweeter than I thought it was going to be. But, you know, we have a little steam coming off of it, you know. It's a beautiful temperature to serve it, right? So as you refrigerate or the longer it sits out, the thicker it will become. So it's totally, split peas has that texture to it in that I washed them off several times, but it could become very thick very quickly. So again, it's up to you as to how you would like to serve it. So I'm just going to spoon a little of it out. Look at that, right? Like so. I'm actually going to move this. I'm going to cover it completely. Move it out of frame. Right, so then we have our, let me get one more thing. Hold on. Right, so I'm just going to clean all of this. Right, and then what I've done, I went back in the yard. We still have very much more cilantro that is growing, and it's in its flower form, and the leaves are starting to sprout. But this is our edible flower. I should have done it this way, right? And then we want to put that there and that there. There we are. A coconut curried split pea soup with the extra garnish of cilantro or coriander. I hope that you enjoy this pre-recorded video of this deliciousness, and I'll see you all on Friday. Peace.